seriously, when we discuss it, this can't be, lock her up conversations. This can't be all that other nonsense that we've been seeing at rallies and all that. This is treason. It's usurpation of the federal government. My goodness, this could be very big. Now, this testimony coincides. There goes my Brooklyn coming out in me. For those of you listening from outside of the People's Republic of New York, when I say my Brooklyn, that means my accent, because hey, how you doing, and all that comes out every now and then, especially when I start talking and getting on a roll here. The testimony, of course, coincides with a story that was published in the New York Times last month that suggested that Rosenstein was behind this move to remove the president, which, of course, Rosenstein denied. Now, this is also the same Rod Rosenstein that is heading up basically the Mueller investigation. He's the one that is in charge of Mueller. He supervises that investigation. He's also the same Rod Rosenstein that wrote the letter that resulted in the recommendation to fire, and indeed the firing of James Comey. This is the same Rod Rosenstein that's probably going to be a witness should anything be taken to court regarding Trump-Russia collusion and any challenges therefrom. Man, this guy's at the center of it all. He's the hub of all these allegations and all these alleged misdeeds in the FBI. To think that and I have no reason to doubt, if it is true from the source, a former FBI general counsel who is testifying under oath in Congress. And by all indications, this seems to be the real deal and legit. There's also, from the same source, claims that Baker was also told to Congress that a journalist named David Korn, who is a left-wing journalist, I mean, aren't they all? But this one especially, who works for Mother Jones, also provided the FBI with a version of the anti-Trump dossier, the Christopher Steele Fusion GPS dossier. So now you bring in media types who want to take down President Trump, bring them together with forces within the FBI who want to bring down President Trump, who are having discussions before and after the election, having Warren sworn out. Does anybody else feel like you're standing at a cork bulletin board with a bunch of yarn placed around it? Because it's getting that deep. It's getting that serious, that there's so many moving parts to all of this. And who knew what, when, and who was grouped together with what, and text messages with Strzok and Page, and who they were talking to about all this, and McCabe being fired, and, possibly a legal challenge there. It's just one big mess, isn't it, folks? It's a tangle. It's basically, it reminds me of when I would throw my fishing line out into the ocean and try to cast, and I get that big old web of line because I didn't hold the reel the right way. That's what it reminds me of right now. It's just a mess. And let's see who can cut through all this and what actually shakes out in the end. I'm interested to see what those in Congress would say about this mess and whether or not this source is accurate in characterizing Mr. Baker's testimony. There's a lot going on here. Stay tuned, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride. That just about brings us to the end of the show here. Just about time for a final thought. And I'm going to use this a couple of ways. The first final thought is Nikki Haley, of course, ambassador to UN, has stated that she's going to be stepping down at the end of the year from her position. She's going to be in there 2 years. And frankly, I applaud her. I think that she is leaving much improved than when she went in. When Governor Nikki Haley was first made ambassador to the UN, I had my doubts. I mean, here was a former governor who I didn't really think was going to be that well versed in foreign affairs. And yet she has been a strong voice in the UN. She's been a controversial voice in the UN, which is fine by me because that means you're making waves. If you're catching flack, you're probably over the target. And this is someone who remained on message for President Trump and his foreign policy, which by all accounts, and definitely in my opinion, has been one of the highlights of the first 2 years of the Trump administration. Especially all that he accomplished with North Korea and different trade agreements and NATO and things like that. I'm very much a fan of Nikki Haley now. I wasn't when she started, but bravo to Nikki Haley for all you've done. You've earned your time off, though I don't think your time off is going to be that short. Am I foreshadowing? Your guess is as good as mine. I have no inside information on this whatsoever. And that just about does it for this show. I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank Mojo50, our newest affiliate, for jumping on board with the Behind Enemy Line Radio's family of outlets. And we're happy to be part of the Mojo50 family. What a lineup of different voices on this network, folks. And if you don't believe me, check it out. Go through the schedule. It's a who's who. They're from Doc Thompson to the Conservative Cartel on down. What a great group to be a part of. But you know what? After all this, and boy was it a whirlwind of a show, it is just about time to shut this sucker down. Once again, thank you for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. Check us out at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and the Facebooks and the Twitters and all the social medias out there. And while we're talking about the website and the social medias and all that for a second, I got to give a shout out to Nat Paul, who has been writing for the site, been doing some yeoman's work for us. He's going to be doing a great series of articles about the Electoral College. There's been a lot of discussion about the Electoral College in the news lately, especially coming from the toxic left and, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes of the world, asking why we need it and all that. Nat's coming out with a great series on that. It's going to be a 3-part series. I'm excited about it. You should get excited about it. You can check that out at www.behindenemylinesradio.us in the very near future, as well as a roster of writers. Yes, we're actually getting writers now, and contributors that are going to be writing and contributing to the show. What a concept. Listen, shout out to all my friends who are successful out there that can't do it anymore. Of course, I love Amanda Koha and Matt Fairley and Diana Sepulveda and the Vitos and all my peoples. But we all have grown, and we all have lives now, and while we can get together for special occasions like Buffoon of the Year and all that, it's good to get some regular, real content up on the site. I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy these new voices and these new perspectives on the site. I don't agree with all of them, but it sure is fun to have them on. And now that I got that little plug for the website out of the way, once again, thanks for listening to the show. Gene Berardelli, Behind Enemy Lines, from the People's Republic of New York State, formerly New York City. Thanks again for listening to the show. But until next week, from the People's Republic of New York, Gene Berardelli, Behind Enemy Lines, and we are out of here. Good night, folks.
Our position has been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. A rock radio production. Back in 7 days. Out.